Hello, hello. We're live. What's up, buddy?
What's going on? We are back.
All right. I'm excited. We've got a jam-packed day today. Looks like it's working. I got an echo. That's a good sign. Guys, chime in. Let us know where you're calling in from. Eric from San Diego. Kat from Lexington, Kentucky. Thanks for being here, guys. We got some more. Let me fix our little chat. Keep this conversation. We've got lots of good question submissions I'm going to drill Lenny with today. Let's see. Jesse from Grand Rapids. Fade to Black from New York. Awesome. It's an honor to have you guys here. We're going to keep today super action-packed, very tactical action things you can take away and apply to just deciding if you're going to do bridal shows or not. And many of you already are. We're going to give you some cool ways to get a better ROI from that tactic. We got 3 minutes before the training starts. Go ahead and chime in. Let us know keep letting us know where you're coming in from. Hi, Beth. Good to see you. And yes or no, have you done a trade show or bridal show or wedding show? Yes or no, and any opinions you have, let us have it. Let's do a quick icebreaker. Lenny, we're going to give all the numbers here in a minute as we jump into the deck, but how many have you done this year so far?
Shows?
Yep.
What do we do? 1 or 2 in January. We did a couple in July. We did 2 in August. Was that 6? And then we still have 3 more. So I think 10 or so this year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, something like that.
Yep. And you said you've got one more phone call tonight with a couple, but that would make it 21 booked from bridal shows.
Yep, since the beginning of the year, yeah.
Mm-hmm. For everybody else jumping in the comments, let us know your sales average also, because we're going to be super. Beth says, I love this. Don't pull any punches today, Beth. Post-COVID shows suck. She's done 2 to 3 shows a year for several years. Kathleen, there's a couple decent shows here, really expensive. Spending $800 on Google ads gets me more warm leads. All right, good to know. We're not going to pull any punches today. All right, your time is too valuable, and so is Lenny's. And we're just going to hear and help you guys decide if this is worth your time. And if it is worth your time, let's learn from somebody who does them day in, day out, period. Okay? So, Lenny, I'm going to bring up the deck and let you do a quick introduction, all right? The format for today is I'm going to just, every time I have talked to Lenny, I've helped him with his marketing and coach and really just talking business and his goals. And every single time I talk with Lenny, I was like, damn it, I should have been recording that. And so that's where this idea came from, is I was blown away with some of the creative ways he's doing bridal shows, because a lot of the people I talk to say, I've tried them, not sure. I've tried them, nope, I hate them. I've tried them and I want to. And good news, I'm kind of stoked that some of you still love them. So you guys are all in the right place. Either way, the goal for today is these 3 things, okay? So if you're watching the replay or you're watching us live, I want you to know that if you follow a proven system, they're worth it, okay? If you're missing any one piece of this puzzle that Lenny looks at when he's approaching a bridal show, you're going to get results like what other people are saying here, where you get crickets. Nobody's following up. You're not getting anybody in your booth. It could be any number of issues we're going to talk about today. Like any tactic, if you're doing Facebook ads or Google ads, there is no silver bullet. If you're not doing it the right way or following a proven system, you're not going to get results, okay? And I think that one great takeaway today. I want you to walk away with clarity. So many photographers lately, especially as we're going into a downturn, as people have this like frenzied jumping around, I got to try everything, and it's only shooting you in your foot. You're spreading yourself too thin. I think today's a good use of your time if you walk away knowing that this is not right for you and you need to focus your energy on something else right now, okay? If you already are doing them and you've got some on the books and you're planning on it, we're going to give you some quick, awesome wins, quick things that tricks that Lenny has up his sleeve over the years so that you can be even more successful going forward. Sound good? Let me get some thumbs up. Let's see, Kathleen in Boudoir. I think you're also in the right place. This is any genre considering to do trade shows is going to take something away from today's call. So I'm going to go through all of these questions at the end. We got some really good ones. Do I need a flashy booth? Should I network with other vendors? What do I do about low budget clients? How do I attract the right client in my booth? From Darcy. I'm going to make sure Lenny's got time to answer these at the end. This is our format, though. So before we jump in, Lenny, why don't you introduce yourself? How long have you and Melissa been wedding photographers? Where are you based?
Yeah, so we are based primarily out of New York City. We've been working together since the end of 2011, but our story goes back to 1999 when we actually first met, when we were teenagers on Staten Island.
And so there was a kind of a milestone for you. Let's do like a before and after, if there is one, where you kind of hustling, making ends meet. But then, how long has it been since you've been averaging like the higher numbers in your business?
I would say probably the last 7 years.
Okay.
Or so. Everything's been kind of peaking as we've tweaked and dialed things in and really made everything our own.
Mm-hmm. And the real answer to this question, I know, is you've done a lot of things. You just iterated. You've done the hard work. You've shown up. You've tried. You failed. You keep going. But is there some general themes of like a before and after of like a mindset or a tactic as an IPS like mantra that got you to these higher ticket averages?
Yeah, I mean, this is whatever. We're here because we're not bullshitting people, but I'll say that once we kind of decided we were going to be 100% genuine and not try and be like anybody else or go on what was trendy or what the insiders said we had to do.
Yep.
And everything just became more natural and more believable because it was genuine. And a lot of credit goes to Melissa for wanting to switch things up and kind of forcing me to make some changes I wasn't kind of sure about. Mm-hmm. And then everything worked and fell into place, and it's just been flowing really well since then.
I think before we dive in here to the numbers, tell me if you've seen this. I think there's moments when the economy's uncertain where I really, the more business owners I talk to in our industry and out, is it really does start to feel like this counterintuitive, oh crap, I've got to take any client and those are the businesses that are struggling and freaking out. But it's the ones that are sticking true to their values, are trusting that there's a demand for the high end, that are still thriving and having record years, where the bottom is kind of falling out. But if you confidently go after your client, and there's a limit, right? There's a story you could share here today at the end where you're experimenting, going out of your comfort zone with another super high end show, where the average investment is like 70 to 80K budget for a whole wedding. and you're a little nervous, right? So you're not going after the tippy top because you know that comes with some trade-offs.
Right.
But sticking with your premium $10,000 average or $11,000, is demand for that type of photographer waning at all, or no?
From what we're seeing, it's not. The last show weddings we've been booking have come in at on the higher end, starting off with with what their initial spending with us,
Yep.
right? So they're not, they still see the value in it, and again, they're not rich people.
Yep.
I mean, they're just not. They're regular people. I mean, one of the last weddings we booked, he's in the police academy and she's a nurse.
Yep.
Right. We have couples that are early 20s, and it's just where people put their value, and you need to speak to those people, because no matter how much you try and sell to someone that doesn't value what you do,
yep,
it's just a complete waste of time.
Right. So true. Okay. So I just realized I want a quick pause before we jump into the rest of the content today. This is our agenda, but I just wanted to take a second to say, hey, if you don't know me, I'm Nate Grahek from Sticky. I founded Sticky Albums a decade ago. Ever since, we've been helping and coaching, empowering photographers to do better marketing for over a decade. And so I'm happy to partner here with Lenny and Spider and Fineo and all those audiences. That's how you found us today. I just am passionate about finding photographers who are doing the work, who and are willing to take a second out of their busy schedules to share, so other people can accomplish some of the same results. To reiterate today's goals, for you to walk away knowing that if you're willing to do the work and do it the right way, following a system, this can be worth your time. All right. If you already know that, we're going to give you some quick takeaways to improve the bridal shows or trade shows you already have scheduled. And then anybody else, even if you walk away knowing, yes, I do now know I want to do this because it's a good tactic, or I don't, I want to do something else. It's all good. Okay, here we go. Number one, in talking with Lenny, it all came down to the numbers. I'm not a super math guy, but I knew that regardless, it still matters. You need to know your basic numbers of your business in order for a strategy like this, because of its time investment and its money investment, right? So speak to some of these ways you've thought about bride shows over the years and the numbers behind it.
So for us, it was always about trying to do the research on the shows, weighing the investment, right, versus what the return could be.
Mm-hmm.
So I always saw the value in the shows, because I've started doing them probably 2002.
Yep.
So I've always had the experience in them and seeing the way things trend. I never stopped doing them either, right, over the years. So I've always seen the way things kind of go, and you get to learn the people that are kind of running the show, right, with all that. And coming down to the numbers, you got to come up with your plan of, what do I want my booth to look like? What's that going to cost, right? How many weddings do I need to see a return on my investment, right? Is it worth it? Because there's other ways to spend your marketing dollars, right? Be it social media is probably the most obvious thing. So you're weighing all that out. And then is it worth the time, right? Because it's a lot more time consuming to plan, set up, attend, follow up a bridal show than it is to build an ad on Facebook and let it run on its own in the background.
Absolutely. And I think the bigger question here is for people just starting out: is it worth it? If your average wedding is $2,000, is there a path for them, you think, that it makes sense for them to do a bridal show if right now they're only delivering a bunch of digitals? Maybe they're still doing some product sales, but on average they're only making $2,000 a wedding. Do you think, are there enough clients like that at a bridal show?
I think you're going to run into a lot of clients like that at a bridal show.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you're going to run into more people that want to spend that or a little bit more
Mm-hmm.
than are expecting to spend where we're at, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing wrong with that, right? If your number's your number, as long as you're getting people that you're happy with, right? If you're only making 2K and you're miserable, right? You got to change
Yeah.
something,
Right.
right? It's going to take a lot more money for me to be annoyed.
Yeah,
Um,
totally.
by by somebody. So it's that, again, it all comes down to the numbers, right? If you're doing 5 shows a year and it costs you $500 a show, you've spent $2,500. But if you book 20, 30 weddings,
Mm-hmm.
right? Are you profitable on $60,000 of the income, right? How much time did you
Yeah.
actually put into it? What are your margins, right? What's your cost of goods? If it only costs you a couple $100 and you're profiting, $1,800, then that's, I would still encourage you to try and up your prices, but I understand
Yep.
there's fear and it's a whole different structure and conversation for stuff like that.
Yeah.
But if the numbers don't lie, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're making money and you're not killing yourself, then do it.
Yeah. I think that some of the big reasons why to do a bridal show is it can't be just because it's a way to get clients, in my opinion. If that's the only reason, if you're just desperate for clients and you're just kind of going through the motions, I think there's other easier ways to do it. But I think that over the years, you found a way to go up market, and it actually saves you time. When I've talked to you about the whole training we've done and I picked your brain about it, you don't see it as a time waster, because the more touches you get, the more conversations you have, the sooner, the more fun everybody's going to have on the wedding, the more you're going to love your job, the more they're going to love you. Oh, and then by the way, you're just naturally going to make more money. They're going to buy more. When you're using the bridal show as a way to begin the whole journey with these couples, right? And if that's what you're willing to do, me personally, when I first tried trade shows and starting Sticky, it helped me learn so fast about how to talk to people. And all of the mistakes that I was making online, in my online marketing, in my conversations with people, when you just get such a dense, rapid fire opportunity to talk to your potential clients over and over and over again, there's just no faster way to learn. As long as you approach it as, I'm trying everything. I'm gonna use different ideas. I'm gonna mix up my pitch. I'm gonna mix up what I say. I'm gonna keep practicing and learning. If you just go in closed-minded and rigid, say, this is what I was told to do, I'm gonna do this, this, and this, and it doesn't work, and you're like, screw it, bridal shows suck, then again, it's not for you, right? So let's see, we got some good questions coming in. I'm gonna come back to these in a second. First, I want you, I think this is my argument, is the most important number to start with. I think if I were to have a one-on-one coaching session with anybody on the call today, and they say, Nate, here's my business, what do you think? Should I do them or not? I think you've got to take a good hard look at your ability to close a consultation. And if you're not good at closing your consults yet, I think there could be an argument, like I just said, it could be a way to get better at having these conversations, just talking about pricing and listening and building rapport. That just takes practice. And bridal shows are a good way to do it. But you need to go into it knowing that this is a learning experience, not necessarily a huge money-making experience. But talk about, at the end of the day, yes, you close people in the booth when it just happens to be right, but that's never your goal. The next step after the bridal show is what? Tell them what happens and why you think you're closing 100% of people coming to your consult.
So 2 things are happening after the show. Well, let me say 3. So 1, we're doing an immediate follow-up, right, with the leads. We have a whole email campaign set aside for that, which is important because you don't want to waste time after trying to come up with what you're going to say to people. So just have that ready for like the bulk. The other thing is most of the time people are following up with us, right? More so than we're going after them. So the show will still be going on and we're getting leads, inquiries, because people came to the show, they left, and then they're sending us emails because they want to meet.
Yep.
And everything like that. And then there's some people that, I know I had a great conversation with, and I'll schedule a meeting at the show, right? For whenever, like that just happened last weekend. We had a couple we met at the show. She asked for the meeting. Right. So the funny thing is people are chasing us more than we're chasing them.
Yeah.
So, and it really comes down to what you're doing in that booth. It's 100% what you're doing in that booth.
Yeah, I think a lot of what we're going to get into is being careful not to overwhelm, not to intimidate, not to scare away, to just make it about them and to share just the right amount of information, showing that how much you care and empathize with them. Okay, so these are some great questions coming in. Let's see. We're going to, Jekyll Foda, I'm going to talk about choosing your booth here in a second. And so this one, we'll approach that one too. So here's the takeaway, guys, with numbers is desperation doesn't work, okay? If you are buckling down and you're like, I'm going to max out my credit card so I can do a bridal show and I need to book 10 weddings, don't do that, please, right? You need to go in. This is a long tail strategy. Lenny's got dozens of stories here where people don't book for months, right? But they keep nurturing, they keep that relationship open in a number of ways. But as we all know, one booking, right? Just do the quick story, Lenny, about how you got one booking and it turned into like 4 or 5 weddings down the line, right? Because of referrals.
Yeah. So we did a show in Miami. We thought the show sucked. The one wedding we got from the show thought the show sucked. And they said that we were the only good thing to come of it. So we ended up booking them that night after the show.
Yeah.
Right. Great family. Awesome. Next thing, they were super happy, loved them, everything. Wedding was in Florida. Then she has a sister's getting married in New Jersey. And because we're based in both places, right, they recommend us. We get that wedding. Then a co-worker of the original wedding gets married. So bride 1 refers us to that one. Then bride 4 also worked with bride 1 and 2. Bride 4 was in the bridal party of bride 1's wedding. That wedding we haven't even shot yet. We just did their engagement session last month in Miami.
Yeah. And
that wedding's in January. So yeah, so that one wedding from a show that sucked became so far 4 and probably about 13, 26. It'll probably end up being around like $50,000-ish or more in the end. Yep.
So I think to recap some of the lessons here, guys, when I think somebody earlier asked, what does it mean to be genuine? I think that when you meet Lenny and Melissa, they care so much, and you read their testimonials on their website or in their print album, they make me want to like get remarried to my wife so I can hire them. They care so much about, and they understand so much of where each new couple feels like it's fresh. It's not just a number. It's not just a way for them to make money. They really care. And when think about how valuable Lenny's time is, he could very easily have just written off a show because the venue sucked, the date sucked, it's raining, the people operating the show suck, whatever it is, he could have just very easily written it off, but he didn't. He stayed present, empathized, built rapport with somebody who knew it sucked, and you just never know where that's going to turn. And anytime we let our own frustration, just always looks so bad when you let your own frustration about the thing, about where you're at. Nobody wants to be around it. And especially if you're hounding people with a sense of desperation of like, here's a discount, here's a reason, here's this, here's a giveaway. Like, none of that matters. I'm going to walk you through how Lenny does follow up when he does need to. Even though, like he said, the first thing he does right is teases the right amount of information so that most often the best couples are reaching out to him after the show. Then finally, wrapping up numbers, this is a long tail strategy. You're going to get way better ROI on so many fixed investments of just your time, your understanding, it's almost like starting a second business, really. And then all the materials and gear and practice, it's easier to recoup that as you get better. And look, I'm not going to do just one. I'm going to book a couple this year so that you've got all of that time to recoup it. Okay, let's see. I'm going to just pause for some of these good questions here. Jekyll says, we are including texting to ensure they are not going to spam. We tell them to check the spam folder, make sure you're getting email you requested. Yeah, it's all about getting people to follow up. I've got some stories, some new ones that Lenny's got. He's doing some really cool email outreach as well. We'll outline at the end. Okay, let's run through some quick mistakes because I think this is the biggest way to save all of you guys some time and money. Number one is trying to book too hard in the booth, hard selling, not having good design and not thinking about your design and your booth setup intentionally, and then not doing any follow-up or doing follow-up wrong. So let's do the biggest one mistake here. I think I love hearing this story is what do you see every single vendor doing wrong as the first thing they ask a couple coming into their booth?
When's your wedding? That's all they care about. That's it. Every I don't care. Every single one asks the same question. That is their opener.
Yep.
There's no preamble. It's just straight. You walk up. When's your wedding? They're jumping out into the aisle, right? They're like, we've made this analogy before, Nate, when you're walking down the Vegas Strip and you got those guys handing out the cards for the ladies. And, they're just right in your face with that. And that's what it is. And you're just overwhelming and like attacking these people, and we're all about giving them space. We 100%, when people walk up to the booth, we ignore them. We don't approach them. We just observe and let them do their thing and look for an opening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's so great. I think it's just there's so many similarities that you and I broke down in our training together about in-person funnels versus online my world of online marketing funnels, where when it's all about you and all you show is that when you start with that question, all you're doing is communicating that you care about yourself. Is I don't really want to talk to you unless I can make money from you. If my date's already taken, I don't even want to talk to you. Whereas in the human interaction space, what we know is starting a conversation with a stranger is awkward as F. It's so awkward. And so there's actually a bigger barrier to them coming and talking to you face to face than there is for them just to walk in and start looking at your product. So you kind of step back and just be chill with you and Melissa or somebody else in the booth to make you standing there less awkward. And it's weird to break that ice. And you just hang out as a resource. And ideally, you're sitting there talking to other couples, making it safe for the first step. The first step is the hardest step, right? If you're staring at people, it's fucking weird. Sorry for swearing. It's just like don't be a creep. Like, just be welcoming and like acknowledge. Don't be standing on your phone like you don't care. But it's talking. One of the tips I love you shared is have somebody else in the booth, if only to be less awkward, right? Because nobody wants to be the one to come like talk to you while you're standing there by yourself.
Nope.
Okay. What are some of the biggest mistakes you see in booth design?
So, booth design, I see the biggest mistakes are going to go one of two ways. Usually, it's a complete over design where you're just
Mhm.
overthinking it, and people have like end tables with flower arrangements and like chairs and a table, and all this crazy over the top stuff. And then they have like four pictures.
Yeah.
So you look more like a furniture store, right? Than a wedding invitation. It's like, what do you do? I don't know.
Yeah.
Right. And they're overthinking it. And then
Yep.
there's the people that you can tell spent no time thinking about what is going to be effective for them. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And the reality is your booth is it. Like that is people are going to look at it first and then they're going to decide, are they
Yep.
coming? Do they see something they like? Or they're
Yep.
just going to keep moving. I say it all the time. It's like they're sitting on their computer. They have 25 tabs open of all different photographers, and they're just, which one grabs their attention. That's the one they're going to scroll down, the one they're going to stop at.
Yep.
So if your booth is not getting attention, you've already lost,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's probably why you think the show sucks.
Mm-hmm. And it's comprehensive, right? We can share a little bit about. I love Beth. Keep it coming.
Yeah.
This is fun. um, is it's not just your work. It's what you're wearing. It's who else is in the booth with. If you're by yourself, how you approach. Like, are you dressed up too formally? Are you dressed up too casually? All of those things matter, and it all comes down to lowering the awkward barrier. I think that's one of the most important lessons I've learned from you through this process. Okay. Um, let's see. No follow up. Uh, I think the basic here, we don't spend time on it. This is pretty no brainer, right? You're getting leads two different ways, guys. You either, if it's a good show, you're getting high quality leads directly from the show. And you need to have a plan for reaching out to them. Second, you're getting leads directly from people in your booth. You need to have a reason, a way to capture that, whether you're writing it down on a piece of paper, whether you've got a QR code that sends to a lead gen tip sequence, whatever it is, you need to have a multi-pronged follow-up sequence where you're doing it both automatically and manually, okay? And the takeaway here, if you can hear a trend, is this is not about, hey, book now in the show, respond to my email with by this date, and you're going to save a bunch of money or get a free whatever. It's all about understanding the challenges they have and helping them with where they're at. Okay. So go ahead. Let's dig into this email here for a second. With sticky email, we helped you take an existing sticky email tips sequence about how to plan how to choose a wedding photographer, right? And you guys spent some time polishing and making it even better. And you got some of these leads from the show you guys work with and started sending that to those leads. And some people who didn't even come to your show, they still liked your leads, or they still liked your emails. How did that work?
Yeah. So we had you build out a sequence for our website. Well, you built our whole website, and then you had made the sequence for our website for gaining leads and hitting them with the tips. So what we did was we made a way to capture people at the show and get them right into that sequence, right, directly through Sticky. And then we also imported that sequence into our own email thing so that when we get the lead list from the shows, we can hit that list. Now, the one you were saying about the bride that didn't even attend the show, so she registered for the show, didn't end up going. We got the list, right? So her email was on it. She started receiving the emails, and we didn't know she didn't attend the show until she came into the office and was like, yeah, I didn't even go to the show, but I saw your emails. She came in and booked on the spot. So that's it, right? She didn't have any conversation with us at the show, had no idea what our booth looked like, but she was getting great content And then she came in and, we did our thing, and that was that.
I love it. So Beth, I've got some ideas for you. There's a couple of different ways. I don't want to get too technical on email marketing right now. But when you have permission, when you feel like the people you're sending to know they've given permission to be marketed to, you can manually enter those emails into a sticky email sequence. Or if you've got a huge bulk upload, we don't allow bulk upload because of can spam laws and other things like that. You can use other tools out there to send those direct emails and invite them into sticky email if you want. But the takeaway is about focusing on value. I think one of the best stories for you to tell real quick is the more you guys, I'm a story brand certified guide, and I'm always seeing things through the lens of how do you get people's attention. That very first engagement is about empathizing with their challenges, with where your clients are. The more you start thinking of yourself as a problem solver, the better you are going to be at all types of marketing. And you had this rare moment where a groom, a newly engaged guy, was honest with you guys. He just came into your booth, took a deep breath, and was like, "Oh, I'm so lost. I'm so overwhelmed." Tell me about that. What did he say? I forget word for word, but what happened? He just came in, and then what did you guys do?
Yeah. So this actually, I wasn't in the booth. I was either sampling cake or doing something else.
Yeah.
As I like to do. But Joshua, he walks up to Melissa, and he's pretty much like, "I have no idea what I'm doing. What am I supposed to ask?" And it was the complete opposite of, because we have people who walk up to us and they're like, "Why are you special?" Or "Why should we book you?" And
right.
Stupid questions like that. But he was genuinely, "I have no idea what I'm doing." So Melissa pretty much broke down what we do and how it's different, right? Because he felt pressured actually to book the photographer that his friends and people he knew used. Mm-hmm. And he actually was talking about that, and he wasn't actually into that studio. And it's funny because I walked up right as he was saying that, and I said, "Who is it?" And he told me, and I said, "That's a wedding factory, right? It's just a bunch of subcontractors, whoever the hell you're getting, type of thing, right?" I said, which is fine, right? If that's what you want, right? If that's what speaks to you, but that's not what we do, right? We're the total opposite end of that. And Melissa and I just walked away. I dropped that one line and walked away, right? And Melissa just kept doing her thing. And then, I don't know, the next day or whatever, I got them on a video chat, and they booked them for photo and video. Mm-hmm. And now I put them in one of our sample albums.
Yep, I love it. So to recap, guys, it's whether or not it's apparent to you, if you've been fortunate enough for a couple in your booth to be that honest and transparent. Most people aren't willing. They've got this I'm shopping, I'm supposed to be discerning and responsible, and I've got to have this tough exterior until you prove to me something, right? Where deep down, they have no idea. Hopefully this is the only time they're getting married. They've never done this before. They've only seen they're only going by all of this pressured agenda from friends and family. They don't really know what they want. They're coming in feeling like, wait a second, I thought this was supposed to be a day celebrating us. And now I'm just worried about the guest list and the venue, how expensive all of this stuff is. Where's the celebration of our love and our marriage, right? They're completely overwhelmed. And if you can be the guide in that moment to not immediately have to to show how great you are, but to first empathize with, I get it, man. It's confusing. This place it's overwhelming, right? And Lenny uses a lot of that language to invite people to the consult later. So it's when the dust settles, when you're done walking around, taking in all this information, we'd love to sit down and chat, have you come over to our studio and we can learn more about the vision of your wedding. That stuff isn't really powerful. So don't write people off. Follow up with automated tips. Another quick story Lenny was sharing with me yesterday. Now that he has this automated tips sequence, he's having people show up who are already excited because they're already getting some of these tips. The other part that Melissa does, because Lenny doesn't like doing social, is explain to what Melissa likes to do on Instagram and the success story there.
So, show from probably about 3 weeks ago, maybe or the beginning of October, I forget. But anyway, this couple came up at the end of the show, Megan and PJ, and they were kind of lost. You know, they had nothing, no date, no venue, but they were just really cool people and just like loving everything we did. You know, the show was over, like everybody's gone. And we're just, we're just still there talking to them, just, because we're genuinely interested in people and want to help them, wherever we can. And, they left, just as like, yeah, when you get everything settled, reach out to us or whatever. But so afterwards, Melissa went on Instagram just to message her and, check in, see if she needed anything. And then she ends up like writing a whole book, about how stressful things are and everything like that. So Melissa goes back and forth with her a little bit, just being helpful. And then it becomes, well, okay, we found our venue. Tell us what dates in this month you have available so that we make sure that, we can work with you, which is what we did, right? They signed their contract for their show over the week, for their date over the weekend. I have a call with them tonight to help them decide what options they want and things for photo and video with that, right? And listen, they could have booked the date we didn't have. They could have said, we can't afford you, whatever it is, right? And we still would have done exactly the same thing that we did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and I love it. That's about what it is to be genuine.
Yeah, exactly. And just not writing people off. You never know who your couple's going to be. You can't judge a book by its cover. Keep coming from a place. If you're not getting people to engage with you, you need to make sure you're leading with not necessarily a solution yet, just empathy. Just shit. Like Jekyll Photo just said, like empathize with, I get it. Wedding shows are chaos. This is so confusing and overwhelming, and it's a fire hose of too much information. Holy cow. Right? Just be a human being, empathizing with what they're feeling. And then you can, you can focus on just finding ways to help them navigate. Know where they're at. Have they chosen a venue? Where are they at in their process? Right? And you can help guide them about their navigating their own overwhelm with a sense of structure. And once it comes time to choosing a photographer, you're going to be the one they want to work with because you're being cool, right? All right. I hope those are helpful tips, guys. Those are the 3 biggest mistakes and some quick teaser fixes on how to approach and get better results. Now we're going to jump into Lenny's 3-step plan that they've kind of consolidated 20 years of experience doing these shows, lessons learned. They all come down to these 3 key steps. Is a really good plan, designing the booth, choosing the right venues, working with the right venue partners. There's so many layers here, right? That we obviously don't have time to go through in a 45-minute call. But I just want to give you that framework for how to be thinking what to do next, how to be real in your booth, and then the multi-point, multi-channel ways to follow up with people you're meeting and people that maybe you're missing too, that aren't able to come into the booth, or your booth is busy and you're not able to talk to everybody. Lenny's got tactics he uses to do that. So remember, this was my promise today, for you to walk away knowing that they're worth it if you're willing to do the work. Some quick tips. I hope you already got some of that. Now, I want you to have some clarity on what next. Do you think that doing bridal shows are worth your time? Yes or no? And if you do, to spend a little bit more time with Lenny and I. We just recently this summer put together an awesome course where the Bridal Show Masterclass, it's about 2 to 3 hours of one-on-one training with me and Lenny. You can see how our dynamic is fun. Lenny is really good at stating bluntly what he does and why it works. But I'm there to break it down into simple bite-sized chunks, picking his brain, asking the questions, having him slow it down in a step-by-step fashion so that other photographers can apply it to their business. So in this breakdown, it's all on demand now. We've broken it down to like 30 some bite-sized videos that are all covering these three main sections. Number one, you've got to have a plan. Choosing the venue or choosing the bridal show can make or break it right away. He's got a criteria he shares on how he chooses shows, how to plan and what to do during the show, and then how to get the booking all the way from follow-up to consult to talking about products, etc. So you've got lifetime access. If you guys want to learn more with us, I'll show how you can jump on to that awesome course. Let me give you some teasers, some highlights that we've learned from that course, okay? So we dig even deeper into, I think the most important thing you talk about is how do you choose a show? Right now, you're now just considering adding a second, a vendor that does shows outside of your kind of home base. But talk for a second about how you choose a show.
So choosing a show comes down to really asking them to give you all the data that they have, right? For the most part, I don't really care what kind of venue it is. We just did a small show that had like 80 something people show up, and we still hit our numbers, right?
Yep.
So it doesn't really matter. You know, it's are they people like us, right? The show that we work with the most, they're a family, right? A mom, dad, and the son, right? That's who's running the show, and they're just awesome people. They do a great job. They know their stuff, right? They invest in the show, right? And that's important. You have to see what they're doing, what kind of reach they're doing, what kind of research they're doing, and everything like that, right? If a show can't give you hard numbers, end it, right? That's it. It's over.
And what he means with that, guys, is knowing like how many, what are the numbers behind who's registered, and how do you know that they're engaged? Who else is that? They're going to give you some crap numbers of all the attendees, but that's just the bride and maybe some friends. Like how many actual engaged couples are coming to the show? And if they don't know the numbers, there's all these red flags that you can start to look for. Okay. Let's talk about, I got questions about albums and samples. How many albums do you have in your booth right now?
I think it's like 13 or something around that.
Yep.
In that number of all shapes, sizes, textures.
And so what I think what works so well, and I don't think anybody needs to have 13 albums, but where Lenny's at in his business, it makes sense. This is how he stands out. There's nobody else in a show that typically that has albums like he does. And I think one of the bigger risks of running a trade show is you click on something that works, you get all of the things in the system clicking, and there's only one of you or two of you. And you've got a full booth. There's a limit to how many conversations you can have. And what having really good samples laid out in a system can do for you is it can create, number one, a way for people to come into your booth and start engaging with your work without having to talk to you yet, and a place for them to sit and soak in some of your work while you're talking to somebody else so that they're not just blowing right by. If you don't have enough samples, anything for them to do, they're just going to keep on walking, right? And wait. Hopefully they want to come back, but they might not. So when you are, over the years, you actually, this summer, you just revamped your booth yet again. What are some of the things people need to do when designing a good booth?
Well, I think speed is important.
Yep.
We went from spending probably the most time, which brought great impact, to finding another way to still maintain that impact without sacrificing, right? Because we didn't want it to look like we didn't care, we didn't spend time on our booth. So we now found a way to flip that, right, and
Mm-hmm.
cut our time by like 2/3 or more, on setup, and still have that great impact, right? So it's impact and speed, right? And of course you want to try not to have to spend a ton of money, and
Yep.
we figured that out as well, right? Because there's
Yep.
so many ways to do this to achieve the same thing, but we want to be
Yeah.
efficient and cost effective as well.
Yeah. So I'm going to throw Melissa under the bus here for a second. When I first met you guys, um, to start working on some of your online marketing, it's like, what problem do you guys need help with me solving? And she was like, give me enough clients for my website so that I don't have to do bridal shows anymore. Melissa's a little bit more introverted, but I think when she is in a show and she is meeting a potential client, I think she loves them more than she sometimes leads on. And I was asking you guys about this new setup here. This is the old one. Let me go back. I'll play this new one. She quickly said this week, she's like, Nate, I love bridal shows again, because when I'm setting up, we're set up in 30 minutes from parking to set up. I'm not sweating. I don't have to redo my makeup. I'm like, it's there and done, and I'm present and ready to rock the show. So when I first did my first show, dude, I went to Walmart and bought a TV. I laid down some stupid flooring that weighed 800 pounds, and I was a complete wreck. It was a total fail. It's like, you need to set up a booth in under an hour for sure, so that you can do multiple shows. It's easy to pack. That cannot be underrated. So in our dedicated course, guys, we go through step by step the exact setup pieces, from the sample products, from where Lenny's getting these awesome stand-up fly-out images, some of the words he's writing on the banners to get people to walk in and talk. We walk through all of those details. For some other questions people are asking a lot, how many albums do you think people need when they're first getting started?
I would say at least 3. And that's just going from seeing the albums that people ultimately end up ordering, right? Because, we do a full mixture of sizes and shapes across the board, and we have a lot of monster albums, right? And that's intimidating to some people. So you get them a size that's more comfortable, they can hold, in their hands. You don't need 2 people. But you also want to be able to get your storytelling across. For us, that's the way we shoot, right? We shoot as storytellers, right? Just looking to capture the authenticity of the day.
Mm-hmm.
That was an awesome transition. We didn't even plan that right there. But I use this in the shows all the time to show to brides as one of my favorite layouts that I've ever designed. And this is in a 10x15 album, so it's 30 inches across. It's 2 tones of leather. Yeah, and it's really nice. It feels good in your hand, and it looks cool. But this does several things. 1, it shows the album, of course. 2, it shows the way Melissa and I photograph together, right? Because the pictures you see from the top of the stairs are mine, and the pictures you see from the bottom of the stairs are hers. So now we're also getting that message across on how we do things. 3rd, you're seeing an incredible moment happen, right? And I always point right to that top center picture of the face of the bride's dad when he sees her for the first time. And when you drop that on people, they're done, right? You have now fully got their attention. They are sold. right? You're showing them things that they want, right? If I'm just flipping through and showing you pictures of brides and grooms smiling at me, right? Who cares? That could be anybody in that picture, right? But you're showing them the things that are going to be unique to them and their day. You start painting the picture, right?
Yeah.
And this goes into our whole sales process and how we're kind of bringing them along, which is a whole nother thing, but
It's so great.
That's
So
really where it's at.
Let me break that down and recap. Got key takeaways, guys. I hope you're seeing the gold that Lenny's dropping here. One important detail I want you to hear is he leaves this album open to this spread. He's kind of like resetting it, almost like it's an experience he knows. So as people are coming through, as soon as there's a gap, he'll go back and reset this album to this spread. So this is, just keep going back to this, like, how can we make it less awkward for people to see what it is they want without them even having to talk to you yet? And then when you do start talking, it's not all about you and how you're amazing. He kind of works it in by talking about what they care about instead of just bragging about himself and how many awards he's won. It's showing what's unique about him and Melissa's is they shoot together and they're able to get these images and tell a story. So I think the question here is to get enough albums to show a variety of quality and to show how you capture story so that people can see themselves in it. We talked about this already. Being real in your booth, where. Go ahead.
Yeah. So everything we do is with intent, right? And in the training and when you get, me helping you one-on-one and all that stuff, we do everything with intent. It's all done with purpose. So I design the albums specific, right, for those things. When I open up all 13 or whatever of those books, they're all on a specific page, right, for a reason. And that stuff, right, that we can help you guys with from design to layouts to choosing that album spread, and then what words you can use to engage with the people that are looking at it, right? This is all the stuff that we go over.
So great. So I'm going to keep answering questions that you come in, guys. We'll stick around as long as we can to get all your questions answered. But before I share this, I love this comment from Jekyll Photo. Thanks for being here, buddy. What did he just say? Check this out, Lenny. Wish I had thought about this idea before dropping 1,300 on simple prints. I joined this webinar a week late. Sorry. I think you're still going to get value out of the prints you ordered. But this is why we do this course, why we did today, to save you guys some time and energy. And now just imagine if you're deciding that this is a strategy you're going to be doing, for $300, picking Lenny's brain a little bit more is going to do for your business, and how well it's going to increase the odds that you're going to get a return from a bridal show. That's our goal. This is not meant to be some super intensive months-long boot camp. This is, like I said, there's maybe 3 hours total of video. And as a new bonus, so we walk through, and I've chopped up all of the course video into these tiny little bite-sized chunks. So you can do it while you're editing, while you're doing other things. You can pick up where you're left off. You can jump ahead to a section you want some coaching on. And a new thing we're adding is, I know you guys are on the road, so we're exporting the whole course as MP3 downloads so you can listen to it. Just think of this as like an exclusive access podcast interview of one of the best experts in bridal shows in the country. And you just get to listen to his genius as you're driving around on your way to shows. So you're going to get a key plan, booth design, typo there. And then importantly, we break down the demo product checklist, all of the products he uses, where you can get them, how do you get the best deal, etc. So to recap, we're doing a live special. You save $100 for those of you guys watching this workshop. The coupon's already applied when you go to that link I just posted in chat, stickybfy.com/masterclass. This is everything. Step-by-step videos, private Facebook group, live Q&A. If you want to post, a lot of people can post their booth design as is. They can post questions. Hey, I'm thinking of this album or these products or this layout. What do you think? And Lenny's in there giving you direct feedback so you don't have to guess. You don't have to waste your money. We've got an email follow-up template that you can use, and then a planning and product checklist. And here's some awesome bonuses. So guys, this is $199. And I don't even have to say the cliche. If you get one client as a result of this course, which I think you just in the time saved in ordering your stuff and getting a right plan, you're easily going to recoup your $199 investment. Okay. StickyBFY.com masterclass. I sincerely hope that today's training was valuable in and of itself. It was just a teaser of what's possible if you guys want to keep going deeper into this program. Time-tested tactics framework at the speed and detail you can understand, personalize, and use. That's us. Okay. Let's jump in. Oh, yeah. Everybody, first 5 to sign up. Let me know if you guys are jumping in right now. I want to congratulate you guys jumping in. You get a dedicated one-on-one coaching call with Lenny for the first 5 of you that sign up today. Okay. Here's the first question we're going to jump into. Guys, like I said, we're going to hang out here and answer questions live, put them in the chat. Let's talk about this one for a second. What are some of your first thoughts? This is from Beth.
Shows forever. Let's see.
I've got some thoughts. I'll let you gather yours. So number one, this could be a lot of issues, but I think Beth, you already said you do a good job of closing when you get people face to face. I think that I would look at how you are vetting your bridal shows that you're going to. If their business is changing, if they're struggling, if they're doing some desperation tactics, it's all of that is going to trickle down. If most of the show is just friends and not actually couples, I think we need to start at that criteria and really looking at the top of the funnel. Is the company running the show doing a good job? That's the first thing I'm thinking about here.
Yeah, I agree with that, right? I would imagine if everything you're saying is accurate, right, your booth has gotten better, your marketing, and then you went from 5 to 7 to nothing, I would venture a guess that it's the show. And that's happened with us with shows before. We used to do a show in Manhattan that had like 1,000 people, and then it dropped to like 100 something, and it was horrible. And I was like, I don't like where this company is going, and we never did their show again, right? So it could be that, without knowing if you're getting feedback, what you're seeing from the show, I would imagine they're not bringing in the right people. But if you're doing it right on your booth and your marketing, you just need to find a different place to put that, right? Is it something I've seen? Like I said, I've seen it in the past where the shows have been crap, which is why we are very, very, very specific on who we work with now. And we've only worked with one show vendor for like the last 4 years.
Yep.
Right. With that. And we're just now, like you mentioned earlier, gonna venture out and try a different one and see how that goes. Email list of crickets. I mean, again, if the list you're getting from the show sucks, you're probably going to have the same thing. But what are you emailing?
Right. That's my next topic too. Totally. Yep. Yeah, I think Beth actually worked with us to get some good tip sequence recently. And I think, Beth, we can connect on what's the right way to, depending on where you're getting the leads, how we add them to a tips sequence. But for everybody listening, it's about sending value. We need to send value, and invite people gradually to look at your pricing, to look at your products, to like inspiration of what you're doing, and then inviting them to a consultation, whether it's just jumping on a quick phone call. but it's really just giving value first. That's the first way to kind of wake up a list. Polishing for subject lines, just stating the problem, like finding a venue is overwhelming. Planning a wedding is overwhelming. We get it. After 20 years in the industry, we know how hard it is to navigate the wedding industry, which is why we love taking the time to listen to our couples to make sure their vision comes to life. Like, it's not about you. It's not, there's no coupons. Lenny doesn't send, nobody asks for coupons, and Lenny doesn't send coupons. There's no discounts. That's not the way to get people to wake up, right? Okay.
I would, sorry, just to follow up, because Beth said she's done different shows and it's the same. Then I would say we need to take a look at what you're doing, right?
Yep.
Because it can't be that all these people are coming to shows and they're all no good.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
That's not something I've ever seen, right? I've never got a 0 from a show. So there's got to be something somewhere that is just disconnected, and we can find that, together as part of this.
Yep. So good. I'm curious, does my mic that we're doing in Minnesota, we do like the first Wednesday of the month, the tornado alarms go off. Is it my microphone picking that up for you guys? You can't hear it? Okay, good. It's super loud here.
Yeah. I'm about to get in the bathtub.
Okay, so here's just
I hear
Go
it.
ahead. Okay, now it's
I can
coming
hear
in.
it. No, I hear it.
If I'm quiet, it comes in. Yeah, Jekyll says he can hear it too. Okay. Everything's okay. That's just a test, not real. There's no tornado. Okay. So here's the good news, guys, is when you're sending value, this is what will happen. Okay. When Lenny's sending this tip to 4,000 emails, he's getting a 43% open rate and only 2 spams, because you're making sure that people getting it, number one, they understand why they opted in to something. And number two, you're not just selling, you're not selling to them. You're not spamming them. You're not offering discounts. It's just helping them plan and make decisions based on where they're at. Let's see, Beth, Jekyll Photo says, can I set up a sequence this weekend? Maybe, but here's what I would do instead, Jekyll, is make sure that if you wanted to send me an email to Nate at Sticky Elves, you know how to get a hold of me, buddy. I think you just lock in what it is you want to teach people. Is it how to plan their wedding, how to choose their photographer, and just say, hey, I put together this cool email tip sequence. If you want to write down your email and put it in the bowl, we'll send follow up with you next week, right? You don't have to have the sequence start immediately, but just get like a verbal commitment. As for people who aren't ready, you can just got a sense they're not really ready to book a consult with you, but they want to learn more. They want to stay in your list. It's a very generous, like, hey, I know this is overwhelming. So when the dust is settling, we've actually put together an email tip sequence about how to plan your wedding or how to choose a wedding photographer. Would you like me to send it to you? And just write it down on a piece of paper. That is the simplest. Like, don't overwork it. It doesn't have to be a QR code. You don't have to make this more complex than it has to be. Low volume, personal touch stuff like that is huge. And I think you could easily set up a sequence by beginning of next week to get that going out.
And when you join the class, we are going to give you a post-show follow-up email that you can send to everyone as well.
I love it. Emily, you rock. It's always good to see your smiling face. Emily's going to be in the masterclass. I love it. Let's see. I have a QR code from them for immediate follow-up. Just want to tweak this. Perfect. That works. Do you have a click-through rate? Good question. I'm not sure if you do. I'm sure people open rate is pretty good at 43. It assumes this is people who have received several emails, right? And so it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. Each time you send an email that's valuable, that's genuine, that's just going to keep helping your click-through and open rates going forward. Okay, let's see. Emily, I think she's going to get access to that direct coaching call. Anybody else? Jekyll already bought the class. Great. Good to see you guys. Emily says, love your team, is always willing to help. Oh, Emily, that means a lot. Thanks so much. Okay. Any other questions from people? We're coming up to the top of the hour. Know that the course with the additions, what we've broken it down into these bite-sized chunks. It makes it easy to consume in the in-between time, where I think that the days of like, take my 80-hour course are gone. Nobody has time for that, right? This is super dense. It's the 80-20 to give you the quick process to just give you access to Lenny's brain in a way that you can go apply and get some of these results, I think is the quickest way to say it. We talked about that. What about boudoir? I knew that one was coming. Let me bring this one up here. Switch my slides over. I'll start with other genres. One of my favorite tips is to think outside of the box. If you are a boudoir photographer or anything else, is to find random shows and be the only photographer. I have a friend, she used to do boudoir at like an accounting small, like local. It was all local. I forget what other criteria it was that made it, if it was like small, if it was like women in business or something like that. But she was the only photographer in the whole place, and it stuck out like a sore thumb in a good way. It's like all these people bored looking at all this other stuff, and here's a photographer. And another family photographer I know out in California, he goes to markets. What are they called? Farmers markets. He's the only photographer. He does a complimentary snapshot for you and your for kids and families walking through as a lead generator. You just do a funny pose, interact with them for 5 minutes, get an image, and then email them the image afterwards. It's an awesome lead gen to give people an experience that they weren't expecting when they're at a show. So absolutely, anytime you can get an opportunity to practice being in front of your clients, I think it's worth it. I think it takes some energy, but if you're willing to come at it from a learning attitude and try a variety of things, I think it can pay dividends. What do you think, Lenny?
There's no boudoir photographers at our shows. It's very rare that I see them. If I did it, I would go as that, yep. Right? Because, I mean, a good chunk of a target market is there, and there's a high likelihood that you would be the only one, right? Yep. So why not do that? Listen, go where your clients are, right? Especially for a boudoir, right? What's your client? A human being, right? You know what I mean? They're everywhere, and if you can show them that they're going to get a great experience and they're going to feel awesome, right? If they're getting as a gift for someone, whatever, you know, it's there, right? That's something that's universal, I feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Monica, I think this is great too. I mean, I would get creative, guys. I'm just going to go off the cuff here with Monica for pet photography. I know, Lenny, you guys are big into you've got dogs and no kids. I think it's another great market to go after is show up to a dog park. If it's a public space, set up a little tent with some treats and some water dishes, a cool prop or something. And I think that there's a huge opportunity there's a strategy with selling books or raising money for rescues as a reason to talk to people, right? Give a genuine reason to talk to people. Hey, do you want a complimentary shot with you and your pup real quick? And I'll email it to you. And hey, you want to look at my calendar or my coffee table book or whatever I have that's supporting raising money for this foundation for rescues. Like, be generous, be around where your customers are. I've seen pet photographers at other pet events where you can buy a booth, but I'd also get creative and just be in places where you know there's a lot of pets already.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would partner like this is going to sound ridiculous, but right now our guy is at a pet resort doing a boarding and training program. right? And it's like
Yep.
this, it's ridiculous place. It's like 60 acres, indoor pool. He's getting swimming lessons, right? All that stuff, right? So, if you could partner with a place like that, I mean, that's with a reputation, right? That's killer. And again,
Yep.
I would also listen. It's like having the realtor at a bridal show, right? There's a realtor at every bridal show we do. What's the difference? Why not be there as a boudoir photographer? Why not be there as a pet photographer, right?
Hmm.
There's a high likelihood that people have pets there. There's a high likelihood that those couples are going to be looking for a house either right now or after their wedding,
Or soon.
right?
Yeah, totally.
It's
Yep.
all right, exactly. It all
Hmm.
makes sense, right? It's all your market. Forget about the theme of the show, right?
Yeah.
And just think about the attendees and what
Yeah.
their needs are.
Yep. So good. All right, this is great. This has been so fun hanging out with you guys. Thanks for all the good questions. I'll leave you with this. If you need help with your website, with your marketing, send me an email to nate@stickyalbums.com. I've got a variety of ways to help you story brandify your marketing, whether it's doing it yourself, having me and my team do it for you. Send me an email to nate@stickyalbums, and we'll get you sorted to the right place that can coincide with a complete marketing strategy, both in a booth like this and online. I'm going to leave one more teaser. Everybody knows how to sign up for the masterclass. If you're watching the replay, click the link wherever it's at. I just posted it again in the chat. You guys know how to save the $100. It brings it down to $199 for this awesome training. Is well worth your time and an investment. Here's one more
And
teaser. Go ahead. You got something?
no, I was
Go
going to
ahead.
say there's just I was copying and pasting some questions that I just wanted to kind of rapid fire.
Go for it.
If you can. Okay. So, Jekyll asks, when you say shows that are under $1,000, I assume these are venue or smaller regional shows. They are not, right? We do big shows at like Rutgers University, which is a big place. And I'm not paying more than $800, right, for a show like that.
Mm-hmm.
Shows with several hundred attendees, 500, 600, 800, and stuff like that, right? They're out there, so you just got to look for them. Image Films HD, what shows do you recommend? Asking about Wedding Salon. I'm actually doing Wedding Salon this month, so if you join, I'll have all my feedback on that show. And yes, are some shows better than others? Yes, they are, and we break all that down in the class and in the group. Beth, I wish I could send you my booth so you can tell me what's my issue. You get that when you join the course. Butler Photography, haven't done a show but interested. Holding me back is the thought of all of it is all a little bit overwhelming. We 100% walk you through this in the course and in our one-on-one help and in the Facebook group. Beth, is nurturing people from August too long? No, we're booking people from July, people from last year, right? A lot of people are not ready when they're at the shows. Image Films, do any of the potential clients try to negotiate your pricing? No, they don't, because if you establish yourself and they see the value in it, they're not going to want to try and devalue you in that.
Yeah. So good. Yeah, I think you get a lot of that flavor, that direct flavor. There's so many fun, surprising kind of symptoms of the way Lenny and Melissa run their process. It solves for so many other problems I hear photographers having, whether it's getting undercutted or discounting or getting ghosted. That just doesn't happen when you run with a proven system like this. Let me show one more advanced ninja tactic that Elaine and I came up with together. Do I zoom in on this? Good. Okay. So here is the story brand formula applied to testimonials. Is people don't want to read huge blocks of text. You need to convince people that it's worth their time and energy to read. And so we took some of Lenny's best testimonials and we reformatted them and pulled out a good headline that empathizes with their highlight or their pain point, and convinces people then it's worth their time to read. And so we've got a nice big image here on the left from the venue. We teach in the course, you want to showcase venues that your potential clients are shopping at. When they see that you've taken pictures at a venue they've already booked or they're considering, it's a conversation starter, right? And then now I'll let you tell the story. Now that you've had this printed, Lenny, and you lay it out in your booth, how are you using this? What problems is it solving?
So again, this book is always opened to one specific page. You probably don't have the whole thing.
No.
Okay. So there's one page and there's one headline where this is actually from the third couple of that referral from the show. We only got one. But there was a comment that you guys pulled out about like even my husband like had fun or something like that, because so many couples come up or the brides come up and they're like, oh, he hates taking pictures or he doesn't, whatever, or he's awkward or whatever. And I just go and I point out in big ass letters, right? The solution to your problem. It's like done, right? It's right there. I don't have to sell and be like, oh, well, don't worry, because we're so great that we make sure that this and that, and I'll use their words, right? So I always use that. It's also effective when you're overwhelmed, right? There's people waiting. It happens a lot. There's a line. People have nothing to, they're trying to, look through things and talk to you. This is something that they can go through, and people read it. They do. They see that there's a lot of words, right? So someone spent time writing it. The headlines suck them in. The book is also big, right? So what you're looking at is 3 feet from left to right. Okay. So it's also substantial. So again, everything's deliberate, right? And done with intent to check certain boxes. And this is something that gets a lot of attention. And even the first page of it, we put a message on the first page to the people opening it as well. So everything cool. is done with intent, and I wish I could take credit for this, but I'm not.
It was a collaboration, bud. You've done the hard work to get these awesome testimonials, and I get sad when I think that so many photographers have put in the energy and the hard work to get these amazing multi-paragraph testimonials, and the tragedy is most times people will never read this. If you're putting this much copy on a website or anywhere, most people won't read it. They'll just assume that we've just been conditioned for that just to be noise. But you can solve for that by highlighting problems and hesitations with big headlines, big formatting. We go into details how you can replicate that win in your own business, both on your website and in a cool print book like this. So this has been a blast. Thank you guys for all the enthusiasm and the support. Sounds like we've already got some people jumped in. We see, I think there might be a couple spots left. Nope, one spot left for the live coaching. When you sign up today, jump on in, and I can't wait to see more of you guys in the Facebook group. Use that resource, use that direct access to a true expert in this industry who were really committed to helping you guys get results. Thanks for being here today. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and the promos that they're getting, especially, is
everything pays for itself. It's ridiculous. You're getting. Here it is. This one here. Oops. You're getting over $300 in bonuses for a $199 course. I think the one no-brainer we didn't talk about today is you need samples. You can use, if you want to really level up your game and stand out, you've got to have really nice high-end albums. And whether you use Fineo, who's obviously awesome, or somebody else, everybody gives you a discount for their samples. But Fineo, we've got some really good exclusive discounts to get to up your game with some really eye-catching, standout products.
20% off an actual. Yeah, 20% off an actual client album, which doesn't exist, right? You can't get that. So when you order a book for your client, you'll save 20% on that.
Damn, I love it. So that recoups the course right there all by itself for most albums. Okay. Dude, I love chatting with you. Thank you to the audience. We brought some really good participation and some great questions. If you got any questions or hesitations, I'm going to send out the replay with all of the right links, and you can just hit reply if you've got any last minute questions or concerns about jumping into the course. Otherwise, we will see you there. Have an awesome rest of your day, guys. Take care.
See you guys.
Peace.